Dixon, certainly in the audience. I want
Mr.
to
Dixon,
recognize
Representative Dixon,
Representative Dixon, and also Reverend Green, you're doing a good job with Harris Silver, because his language has improved drastically.
Meeting's not over yet.
I'm gonna get some paperwork here together. I want to first thank the council and the mayor for giving me this opportunity to speak to you just a few seconds. I'm looking for my notes.
You know what you're gonna say.
incidentally, I do want to say that your haircut, it really does look
It
good.
does look good, right?
We went to the same barber today, honestly.
Oh, I found him. As you know, and those that are in the audience know that over the last few months have been very dedicated to a tax incremental financing district. And we started a lively and open debate among the citizens throughout this community talking about the prospects by which we could move forward. And in many instances, individuals may have thought that this was just a personal thing that was housed in me moving forward, but it really wasn't. It was the passion of those individuals that gave me the opportunity to serve them. And I've served them for not quite 5 months yet. I stand before you with an article, and I'm going to try to not make this too long, gang. But it enlightened me. And usually I don't read blogs because most times they're negative towards me. And nobody want to read negative stuff about themselves. And Lamar White Jr., on occasions hit a right note, on occasions. And I'm going to read the note that I think was the incentive for what not just me, but the people in the community was passionate about. And Lamar, you do remember, okay, on life in Louisiana, and it's a personal essay on Alexandria, and it's part 2 of 4 series, and I'm only dealing with part 2, and I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I do want to lift some excerpts from this document. And it's about, and he starts out by saying, it's not a big secret that Alexandria has always struggled with its identity, which is one of the reasons the blog tends to obsess over Alexandria's few remaining historic buildings and places. It's a way of rediscovering what we're made of. Every one of those places can tell their own stories. He goes on to talk about a visit to Dallas, Texas, and that was with your grandfather. And I read this excerpt. My maternal grandfather traveled with us this weekend. He hasn't been in Dallas since his mother's funeral over 7 years ago. When we told him that we were going to pick up a family member who lives near McKinney Avenue, he remarked, "That's a bad area of town." Actually, less than 20 years ago, it was a bad area. It was similar to the way many Alexandrians view Bolton Avenue, and I might add Upper 3rd, Lower 3rd, the Sonia Quarters, Samtown, Woodside, and it goes on. Dallas decided it needed to rescue this important area, and they invested millions in infrastructure repairs. Quoting from the National Resources Defense Council, less than 2 decades ago, the area could be more accurately described as an urban nightmare. And it goes on, talking about the efforts of Dallas in the 80s. But that effort fizzled out because of the housing market crashing at that time. And then in a subsequent paragraph, he states, seizing the opportunity, Columbus Realty Trust now posts properties, about 8 properties in uptown area with plans to build apartments, lofts, and townhouses within walking distance of the area's existing businesses on McKinney Avenue. In 1988, Columbus formed a partnership with the city of Dallas to revitalize the area. The city created a tax incremental financing district, which allowed a portion of tax revenues collected in the area to be dedicated to improving the district's infrastructure. The water and sewage systems were revamped, utilities were buried, and streets were repaved. Sound familiar, he said. McKinney Avenue and uptown Dallas are prime examples of what can be accomplished. And he's not arguing in support of a TIF. Since 1988, other municipalities have used more innovative methods. We could consider our options. And that leads me, real good, that leads me into Spark. The mayor, and I'm gonna say this, and I know all of Alexandria is listening, and I'm gonna say this, it's not really being a feud between the mayor and myself. I think both of us have shared passion that something must be done. He seems to think we have a little bit more time, I think, because he's 37 years old or so. I'm 50, going on 59 years old, and I want my grandkids to stay here, not somewhere else. But to his credit and to the individuals within his administration that worked with him passionately on developing this instrument, it is an instrument that can bring us forward. We're talking about $96 million of infrastructure improvement. As I say, this is an instrument that can bring us forward. There, I think, are some things that still need to be done. Harry, you and I talked about those earlier on. And I'm just going to highlight three of the things that I think that we seriously need to look at. The mayor has a very positive program to look at each district of Alexandria, whereby we can improve the infrastructure, which is going to be the first prerequisite for businesses located in an area. I tend to think you need to have even more incentives for those businesses to come after we complete the infrastructure. Now, that passion that I have on TIFs comes from my short 5 months there, Myron, looking at the number of TIFs that's finding its way through Louisiana cities and communities. Just in this legislative session, I want to talk about Representative Richmond tax increment financing, a proposal for Lake Forest Plaza District in Orleans Parish. You have Senator Yvonne Dorsey with incremental tax district for East Baton Rouge. You have Representative Avon Honey with a tax incremental district for Baton Rouge. You have Senator Lydia Jackson with an economic development district for Shreveport. And the list goes on, and you can go back in prior years. So my thinking was, and rightfully so, that this could be an instrument that could move us forward. The problem, if any, with my instrument versus the one that the mayor is offering, his produced $96 million now. My instrument, a tax incremental financing district, would take 2 to 5 years to materialize and to move forward. Now, having said that, I still think that ought to be a part of the mayor's plan as an incentive or a proponent. But I want to just share something else with you. I came to the conclusion that after getting a copy of the mayor's plan and not fully understanding all elements of that plan, and that's why I took off today to come early enough to hear the mayor give that plan to the Economic Development Committee earlier this afternoon. I'm more convinced than ever that he has a plan that can move us forward and move us forward very quickly. But I wanted to, the good Lord watches over me sometime. This was already prepared, and I didn't type this when I did my haircut, Harry, so pass this around, please. And tomorrow I go before the municipal committee. And my intent was to be in this meeting with an approval from the governmental body, which is the city council, to take a TIF proposal before the municipal committee to request them to back my legislation for a TIF for the area that many of you know about, OK Allen to Willow Glen and all those areas in between. However, I got up early this morning, read through this plan several days ago, and there's another story I could tell you about that. But But I want to just highlight these bullet points that I'm going to talk about, and of course it'll change just a little bit. Tomorrow, these are the things that I plan to say. House Bill 1094 of the 2008 regular session proposed to create a tax increment financing district in Alexandria. The mayor has proposed a substantial investment in infrastructure in the city, particularly in the areas in most need of such efforts. That includes those areas that I talked about. The mayor's plan sounds good but lacks specifics in the present form. That was prior to me sitting in this room listening at the mayor make his presentation, so that will be changed. In the interest of cooperation, I have decided to defer House Bill 1094 and to work with the mayor and the city in the development and implementation of the mayor's plan. Because one thing that you need to be apprised of with this plan, with such a large local investment within this plan, it's going to make it very easy for Chris Roy Jr., myself, Chris Hazel, who's on the Appropriation Committee, along with Senator McPherson, the Central Louisiana delegation, to capture even more resources at a time when the state is flush with money. And folks, when I say flush, we came into this regular session of the legislature with $997 million over our budget, surplus money, after having a special session spending $1.1 billion of surplus money. And it's projected in October, when the Revenue Estimating Committee comes back before us with dollars that we've gained since May, when they gave us the $430+ million report, that it's going to exceed even that amount of money. So the rush, the passion, the speed of something happening now, because we don't know how long we're gonna be flush in revenue. But we need to be like Ascension Parish, we need to be like Livingston Parish, we need to be like all of these municipalities that are taking advantage of means by which to grow their community and tend to the business of their blighted areas of their community. So we're on our way with this plan. And then I go on to say, however, I'm also introducing a legislative instrument that will request that the House Committee on Municipal, Parochial, and Cultural Affairs study the status of economic development in Alexandria and the progress that has been made in developing the specifics of the mayor's plan and in implementing that plan. With this instrument and under the rules of the House, the committee will have authority to visit the city prior to the beginning of the 2009 regular session and to get a first-hand look at our progress. Now, two things you need to know. A study is a way to say you lost. Okay, I want you to know that, all right? The other, if this was a fight, this was about me being right, the mayor being wrong. But it also says that this committee will visit our community, and I'm gonna push for that hard and ask the other members of the Central Louisiana delegation to do likewise, because we have an active plan now, it's in place, and it's incumbent on all of us to move it forward. But I think it's very important that they see the potentials that lies in this community, and I think that will help us garner dollars down the road. Now, in the event all of this is good talk, a PowerPoint presentation, and about nothing, then I'm going to continue my efforts and reserve that right to do so, to push for tax incremental financing districts or whatever it is to move us forward as a community. But none of that seems to matter at this time, because I think the mayor's plan is a very good plan. I encourage the community at large to support this plan. I encourage the city council to do likewise, with an understanding on those several areas that I think we still need to look at. But with that, I thank you for this opportunity to make this presentation in front of you. I welcome any questions that you may have of me.
I think we're on a round of applause, I think. I was
Dr. Holcomb?